Filling the Gaps is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Oh, Cam, you kill me. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Filling in the Gaps in the Morning. My name is Rich, and I'm joined as ever by this jokester over here, Cameron. Cameron, how you doing today?
I'm doing better than anybody could ever imagine, my friend. How's it been for you?
Oh, just so good. Thanks for asking. I really appreciate it. Today, do dice roll, or is it all one big conspiracy? We'll be covering this story, as well as holding some adorable puppies. You don't want to miss it. I don't know what that was. I just wanted to do a different intro than we normally do.
We are holding puppies. I have 17 puppies in this room right now. It smells awful in here, so...
It smells awful.
Yeah.
But it's super adorable.
Yeah, it's been 6 days, so... Sorry.
Please send help. Well, hey, everybody, if you're listening to Fill in the Gaps for the first time, and you're like, what the heck did I just turn into? Filling in the Gaps is not an actually play podcast, but we want to help you actually get the time and the chance to play with your friends. We know DMing week after week can be exhausting. So we're here to smash together a random theme and a random scenario into something that you can run next week, next month, next year. We're here just to get the ball rolling and to help inspire you with some brainstorming. Whether it's good or not has yet to be determined. We'll let you know at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that's the way it goes generally. So, Rich, how you been, man? It's 2 weeks feels like forever, and
it does.
We've got y'all. The fundraiser will be done by now. By the time you're listening to this, but man, just such a great thing happening over with the Roaring Trainers. Yep. Helping Gio and Ellie out. They're just killing it, and we're really thankful to be a part of that. Cameron, you're a mad lad. We love you.
The maddest lad.
Yeah, you really do work like a maniac, and I got a big heart on for you. So, in addition to that, and speaking of heart ons, our entire community. You guys are awesome.
Yes.
Seriously. We were just like going through all of our themes and scenarios, and we were like, holy hell, man, we got this. I mean, y'all are just coming correct. It was amazing. So
yeah. Seriously, you guys, like people like Ren, Warlican. I'm really afraid of missing anybody. Ren, Warlican, Evelyn, the old school guys, Combi and Shoal and Frack, like Marley. There's just I could go on and just read like every single person in our Discord, and it's just so awesome to be able to just get ideas from you guys and to laugh and to just constantly debate about grilled cheese. We had like the best intro ever for flare gun fish the other day. That was fantastic. It's good. You know, we got a good community, and I want to keep it going.
Yeah. You know what else we have?
Huh?
Some dice. Hey, Rich. Shall we roll?
Let's do it. Like, seriously, 2 weeks is long. I miss these brainstorming sessions. I feel like I'm having on the side brainstorming sessions without you, and it's just too much. But I today am rolling a pink D20. Cam, what are you rolling today?
I am rolling an orange D20.
All right.
Yes. So it's orange with a nice quality little splash of a lot of different colors.
All right, well, let's go ahead and let's do it. 3, 2, 1. All right.
Okay. Give me a second. Just give me a second.
Okay. The last little tinkle at the end. That was good. All right, what'd you get?
A 6. Hold on.
I rolled a 15.
13. That's what I got.
Okay, 13 and 15. All right, Cam, while you go ahead and figure out what a 13 and a 15 is. Also, I believe that today I was rolling for the scenarios. You were rolling for the themes.
Yes.
So as you figure that out, let me tell you guys about Libris Arcana dice. Do you want a waterfall of dice that you can pour all over yourself at any point in time, either for ASMR reasons, maybe you just like the feel of dice. Hey, no judgment here. Well, guess what? Libris Arcana Dice, we've got you covered. If you go ahead and log on to librisarcanadice.com, and if you use our promo code FITG, you'll get 25% off your first order. Now, that first order can be one set of dice that will arrive at your door every month, or you can get more money off by getting 3 sets of dice sent to your door every 3 months. You do it for 3 months, you cancel your order afterwards, and if you ever need dice again, hit them up. They'll give you some good stuff. All right, Cameron, what do we got? 15 and 13.
Okay, so the theme of this week's episode is Goblin Kin.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, you like goblins? I like goblins.
I don't get goblins.
Yeah, goblins get left behind. So
they do.
I like to see
no
them come
goblin
back
left behind.
We're gonna make goblins great again today. And we're gonna do that with a good old fashioned propaganda campaign.
No freaking way.
Yeah, I'm not joking. So,
are those brought to us by anybody in particular?
Our entire community, because we didn't put names next to them, but I'm sure that somebody had said something at one point, sooner or later. So,
Gotcha.
Congrats,
Congrats,
everybody.
Congrats. We've done it. We've done it. Goblins 2020. Goblins 2020. Goblin Kin propaganda campaign. All right, Cam, as always, let me ask you, what are you seeing? Do you need a second to clean up your dice, Cameron?
Maybe.
Just have millions of dice all over your desk.
I just don't want people to. I don't want to subject people to this sound that they're about to hear. But I kind of did it already. So, round 2. Okay.
Welcome to the Grabs ASMR.
And then and then we're gonna do
those dice
a quality
just rolling off the table.
It's a quality dig. It's just a quality through.
Next week we're gonna chew on some ice. I've got some peanut butter over here.
No,
hates it when I eat peanut butter.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
All right. So Goblin Kin propaganda campaign. Okay, let me go ahead and throw some ideas out real quick, and then I'll let you take over. Goblin Kin obviously means goblins, hobgoblins, bugbears. There's also a specific type of goblin called a niblog. It's goblin backwards. It's like a goblin that's possessed by a trickster spirit, essentially, and it just constantly is trying to cause trouble. Propaganda campaign is interesting. What are they trying? What are goblins trying to protest for? Essentially, are they trying to elect somebody into office, into like a big town like Waterdeep? Are they trying to just get more equal representation? Maybe it's like a town where goblins have moved in. They've been there for a while, but they're still treated bad. Is it just stupid stuff? Like some goblin holiday or some goblin... I don't know. Cam, what are you thinking of?
So when I think of propaganda, I think of misleading people. And so... so when I'm dealing with propaganda, because that's my real job throughout the day is to create propaganda to mislead the American people.
Yeah,
and just
exactly.
Sort of dive our country into a deep, dark despair.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of my role. It's it's a 9 to 5, but it is what it is. So, the way I see propaganda being utilized by goblins is recreating the perception of what the local community thinks of them in the first place. And so the thing that comes to my mind is a powerful figure then providing propaganda around why goblins are good and why they are worth having within a town and why they deserve to live here and all this kind of stuff like that. When in reality, these goblins are like, they're extremely, dangerous, and they'll like mess people up and all this kind of stuff because they're freaking goblins. They're like, just like, because goblins are naturally evil, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like they're not a neutral character, right?
Recently, a lot of people have been using them. Like some people will homebrew them as being more neutral. But I think naturally they are lawful, not lawful evil, but they are evil.
Well, let's say for the sake of this story, there is a doppelganger that has taken over, taken the sort of like maybe captured somebody and kidnapped somebody that was in the town's mayoral position of some sort, and now has provided started to shift towards this like incredibly elaborate campaign to talk about how great goblins are and how they should live within this town, and they need to provide them a home inside this town. But they look past the like I don't know, like the fact that the goblins are like killing people and eating their bones and all this kind of stuff. Is that something we should go down, or?
I think so. Man, I could see this either way being so much fun. Just I'm seeing like posters in my head, like don't let a goblin hold your baby, or like just like I'm seeing like posters of like a family, like a 1920s family, just like smiling, and then in the back, like it's a mom and dad, and they're holding like a baby, but the baby's head is like a goblin, and it's like goblins will replace, like goblins swap babies out, and the goblin threat, or like just like stupid stuff like that.
Okay, what about this then? What if there was a good goblin like sect and a bad goblin sect?
See, I think that could make it fun.
Yeah. And so there is like this innocent group of goblins, and all they want to do is have like a place to stay. They've been sort of like pushed out of their natural land, and they don't want to mess with anybody. And so you have this one side that's like fighting for the rights of like letting them have an ability to live there, but then at the same time there's other like bad goblins that are more or less like they're more or less the same as like goblins have always been, where they kill people and they do goblins, are they like cannibalistic? Do they eat people?
I think so. I would imagine so.
Yeah.
What if it was, okay, so remember, this is goblin kin. So we're talking hobgoblins, bugbears, and goblins. They're all like the same group.
Correct.
So maybe this is something where it's like, maybe a small, because they also travel around in like large war bands. Maybe this is something where a large war band is in the area, but there's some goblins who have like broken off of the war band and are trying to like move into this small city. And are they still goblins? Yes. So like if they're trying to like do, maybe it's like, oh, these goblins could help out at the lumber yard, and they're still goblins, so they're causing trouble, and like someone gets like collapsed under like all this wood that just starts rolling down the lumber yard. There's stuff like that, but they also are somewhat helpful, and it's literally this town figuring out also, is it worth us to have these goblins here, because then the war band's going to come looking for them. And it's this whole big, like, the goblins are trying to petition, like, why they could be helpful.
So these are some, like, reformed goblins that are essentially trying to make their way into town.
Yeah.
And, okay. And
or even if they're not reformed, they're just, like, if it's goblins are, like, the lowest of the low in the pecking order. So they're just, like, why continue to fight and die? What if we just ran away and we are just going to join this town? Because hopefully these humans seem to be more, that's even one thing they can say is like we want to follow you. We want you to be our warlord here because you're more soft than they are. Like if we do something over there, like we're going to get killed and eaten or tortured. If we don't do something right here, we'll just get thrown in jail.
I like this.
I'm trying to think of how we can throw in a nilbog, though.
A nilbog. I need to look up a nilbog real quick. Hold on one second.
Page 182 of Volo's Guide to Monster.
Oh, it's in Volos.
When Meligabet conquered the goblin gods, he intended to leave only... Oh my gosh, goblin god names are weird. He intended to leave only Kay alive as a harsh overseer who would keep the goblins under heel. But the goblins' pantheon included a trickster deity who was determined to get the last laugh. Although its essence was shattered by Meligabet, The trickster god survives in splintered forms as a possessing spirit that arises when goblinoids form a host, causing disorder in the ranks unless it is appeased.
This is perfect.
So it's just like a trickster.
Yeah, it's perfect. And he could be running around town putting up posters that are contradicting one another. Why would you ever want a goblin in your family unit?
And it can
eat your kitty cat. And then another poster is like, goblins deserve love too. Don't you understand? And so it's just creating this like conflicting rise of two sides against one another over this goblin threat, essentially, of these people. And this Nilbog is the one that's causing all of it. Right? Because that's what this is all about, right? The Nilbog's like a little jokester, right? And he's chaotic evil.
It's chaotic evil. It's a jokester. It can cast like Tasha's Hideous Laughter, Vicious Mockery. That might make it too complicated, though. The more I think about it, here's the thing. I love Nilbogs, but I feel like we already have a great little in-town quest for the propaganda campaign, and I wonder if this trickster... I think let's keep the trickster in the wings.
Okay.
And let's see if we can add him in. Because I think, okay, how big is this town that these goblins are trying to go into?
Let's call it like a town of like 200.
Town of 200? Yeah, does it have walls? If the warband comes looking for them, would the warband just smash through this town?
Actually, let's go 5,000.
5,000?
With a militia and a town's guard and all this kind of stuff.
Okay, so the goblins... So there's already the instance where you could be coming in, as you're coming into this town, and you see goblins everywhere. And your, like, natural player instinct might be, like, goblins, gotta kill these goblins. And you start killing a few, and they surrender, or you start killing a few, and somebody from the town, like, comes up, and they're like, no, stop, you can't kill them, like, don't kill them. And you're like, why is this person from this town telling me not to kill these goblins? And then there's your tease. Already you're like, okay, this town has some weird thing going on where they're trying to bring goblins in. Mm-hmm. And then you approach the wall, and there's all these posters of a goblin's face, like, smiling. And it's like, how could you hate this face? And then, like, go goblins. I'm trying to think of other, like, weird posters and stuff like that. Imagine Detroit become human, but it's Detroit become goblin.
Oh man, that's funny. So you're walking up to the town, and like a little goblin's farming outside of a house, and you're just like, look at that little goblin just digging through somebody's garden.
Is that? Yeah. You describe it as like a goblin. You see a goblin like raising a pitchfork up over its head, and you're like, I shoot an arrow at it. And it's just farming.
You see another goblin raise shears into the sky above its head. I chop it with my axe. And it runs down to tries to shear off some wool from a sheep.
Exactly. Yep. You see a goblin in the field with like a bunch of sheep. It's like, oh no, he's gonna try to steal sheep. I think this could be. It's a great like side quest session.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's an idea, though.
Okay.
I have an idea. If we're talking propaganda,
all
these goblins are in town, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's something that has prompted these people to like be more accepting to them, and then like as that happens, and say for example, now there's like a significant amount of goblins. What if the goblins themselves were in some sort of like enchantment or some kind of like under some kind of spell that kept them docile towards the humans or the people of the town until a certain point at which the enchantment would then get triggered off or something like that, and then they would run wild. These are people that have let them into their homes and let them into their city, and then now there's a massive population of goblins, and then dun 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 rah, boom, and they just start running wild, and it could create like a crazy chaos scene at the end.
And then you have this choice as the players. I mean, obviously you're going to find this artifact or whatever it is that's doing that, and you have to decide: is it better to let these goblins be their original selves, and be wild and be evil, or is it better to keep them in this docile state? Like,
and someone nefarious needs to be controlling that artifact.
what could goblins provide? What would be the because this is what I was thinking. What if it was something like, I'm imagining that goblins have to breed pretty quick.
You mean they die like flies? Like
I don't think they die. I think they die like flies because they get thrown constantly as fodder.
Yeah.
Like, they die like flies because they put themselves in situations to die. So I think they also have to, like, breed super quick. So what if it was something like they're harvesting something from... Like, I could see there being, like, a wizard or something who's, like, grinding up goblin teeth because it's something. Or is, like...
Well, this brings me back to the whatever it's called, Nilbog. Whatever it's called. What is it?
Oh.
You see what I mean? So the Nilbog goes into town and is all, yes, a wonderful little town. Oh, this would be a great place to play my tricks. And then they go inside and then bum dun 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 dun, bring goblins in. And then putting up signs and all this kind of stuff and placing out propaganda as to why these goblins are worth keeping around. Do you not like doing your chores?
What if it's these goblins are already somewhat established in the town, and this Nilbog is doing things to try to get them thrown out? Which seems weird. You're like, why would this Nilbog want to specifically... He's, like, trying hard. He's, like, behind the bad goblin propaganda, or at least he's sided with it. And at first you're like, why is he doing that? And maybe it's because this Nilbog knows that this nefarious stuff's happening in the background, where either the goblins are being controlled or the goblins are being harvested. So he's trying to, like, get the goblins thrown out of town so that they don't keep getting harvested. So,
in a way...
So it seems like he's just being stupid.
Or even if it's actually even seems like he's being the bad guy because he's going, like... He's, like, freeing the goblins and letting them all run free. But in reality, he's saving his people. And, like, going, like, no, you can't be here. Like, don't you realize what they're doing to you? And then the town's mayor has, like, maybe that artifact that makes these goblins docile or something like that. And because of the infection of whatever that god was for the Nilbog. What god is it? Pray to? I don't.
Oh, I don't think it has a name.
Oh, okay. Jokey joke god.
Jokey joke god.
Because, like, maybe that makes it to where it doesn't get affected because it's a little bit above, like, a regular goblin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so then you've got this thing where it's like, the mayor seems good but is bad. The Nilbog is bad, but it seems bad, but it's also doing good from its perspective as well.
Yep. And the players, I don't think will pick up. Like, the players, I think, will love this idea of a town where goblins are just like a part of the town.
Yeah.
Like, you've got this, like, milkman goblin who, like, has a big old milk mustache and it hands you, like, half a bottle of milk, and it's like, that's adorable.
Yeah. And so you can have a bunch of, like, super cute moments for these little goblins because they're all docile. And so then at that point, now they're just little miniature versions of themselves. And it's just like...
And you've got this other goblin, this Nilbog, running around, hanging up posters and, like, painting graffiti on the walls that is, like, negative towards goblins. And the players are like, why is this goblin hanging up signs that say goblins will eat your babies? Like, why is this Nilbog hanging up signs that say, like, I'm trying to think of just, like, weird stuff during, like, World War II propaganda, because World War II propaganda was not nice towards other people.
Well, propaganda is a super touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of ways, like, this situation right here it created is, like, in a way, sort of recreations of certain situations in the real world in some aspects, you know. So I think that there is a disclaimer on this game for sure of, like, hey, make sure, because this is not like a, you know, you don't want people to misconstrue your things. I mean, honestly, from my perspective, the way I see it is, it's truly just like a simplistic style of thing, of trickery, and that's what stories are. but stories do tend to recreate themselves within our lives every once in a while.
Well, it's great to use a little bit of history in there. Hey, what happens if you sprinkle a little bit of like if you want some cool stuff to research that'll really honestly shock you. I say cool, but I don't mean cool like I think all this stuff is great. It's more cool like, wow, I can't believe humans did this. Look up like World War II propaganda about like Japan and about the emperor. You will be shocked at the posters you see. Yeah. Number five will shock you when you see it.
I was like, what is he talking about, number 5? And then I started realizing, you will not believe what number 7 is. Ugliest celebrities ever? See the list right now. And then you're like,
but
clicking the next
having
one.
all these posters of like these really like, I mean, goblins are already kind of demonized, so they already kind of have demonic features. But like just stuff like that, or just like these really gross like slurs or sayings against goblins that this Nilbog is specifically hanging up or like doing.
And at first the players aren't seeing this, or they're not seeing the act of the hanging up of the posters. They're just seeing the posters.
Yep.
And the townspeople are even confused about it.
And there probably are some townspeople though who agree with it.
Yes, that would make sense. Mm-hmm.
But your players, and honestly, those townspeople themselves might not be good aligned characters. They might be a bad force in this game. Like they might be like killing these goblins and stuff like that, or they might just be like really racist pricks, whatever. So they are bad. However, the Nilbog is still trying to stir them up to accomplish getting his goblins free. And not just murdered by these guys, but kicked out of the town entirely. There's just a bunch of plates to have to spin for this session.
Well, that's what's propaganda, though. That's propaganda for you. You know, it's just, you know, like I said, you know, it's a 9 to 5, but it is my life, and so you know, tearing apart economies is kind of the thing I do, and so
electrical work and a little propaganda on the side.
Just a little, you know, high voltage electricity and a smidge of propaganda. So, yeah, man. I mean, so let's talk about. So we've got sort of the goblins, their situation figured out, but we've also got hobgoblins and bugbears as well. And not to mention, you've got other types of goblins. You've got there's like I forgot. I saw another goblin earlier that was like. Hold on one second. Looking
I feel like we've got a real good sandwich right now. We've got a real good bread. We've got the bread. We've got the skeleton of this sandwich. We know what's going on.
Got a tasty little sandwich.
Let's put a little mayo on there. Put a little cheese. Put a little mayo, and we'll go ahead and I'm gonna keep bringing this up for forever. Mayonnaise and
what else? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with the mayonnaise, the cheese, and the bread? What are you gonna do?
You're gonna grill it. You're gonna grill it up. But the mayo doesn't go in the sandwich. It goes in place of the butter on the bread. And that's what makes it good.
I just want to tell you something real quick. I want to tell everybody that's listening right now. You made me sick to my stomach. And
it's
everything
good
about that. That is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
It's good. It's good.
Well,
but
so let's assume. Let's not assume, but I think we should have some fun with this. We've got Volo's Guide to Monsters here, right? And I've got 2 hobgoblin classes in this that are really cool and really fun. If you're not familiar, they are on page 161. If you need the pages, text me or hit me up on Discord and I'll text a picture of the pages to you.
This could be pause for a second. This could be sweet to do, not as your normal players walk into a town. This could be sweet to do as a separate little arc where you pick playing either a bugbear, a hobgoblin, or a goblin in this town.
Okay.
And like for a few, this could be a sweet like separate arc where you make these goblin characters. You're in this town and you're in the process of in this game unraveling this like this espionage manipulation propaganda thing. And since you're a goblin, you're much more attached to it when you start discovering it.
I like that. Because I look at this hobgoblin devastator here, and I look at it and I go, it's a lawful evil, but man, that'd be fun to play that character.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have D&D Beyond has hobgoblin playable races as well.
Bugbear too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So you just pick but you have to think of. So let's think of this real quick. What are jobs in a town of 5,000 people that Goblinkin would replace? Detroit become Goblin. What are the Goblins doing now?
Well, I'd say the goblins, like the small goblins, are going to be do like remedial tasks like gardening, stuff that's low to the ground, whether it be cleaning, gardening, all that kind of stuff. I look at
cleaning
like
gutters, chimney sweeps. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Can we get a Mary Poppins chimney sweep scene of Goblins?
Hello, Buff. It's me, your Goblin. How you doing? Dude, Rack right now is just going like, please, no more English accents. I going to keep your chimney all nice and sweet, right?
That's so cute. Oh my gosh!
And he's got a little soot on his face, and he's just got a little chimney sweep
britches, and he's just like,
Hi, you got a problem with me? I'm gonna get up here and sweep your chimney. But then you could do like the hobgoblins are gonna do more of like the
they're smarter. Remember, they can actually spellcast too.
Yeah. So you could have them as like enchanters, shopkeepers, and stuff like that. And so in a way, they're like integrating with this town. And then the bugbears and stuff like that, they're going to be the
Can you
brutes
imagine
of
a hobgoblin in the Mary Poppins role as like some family has a hobgoblin that like is a nanny.
Ooh. Yeah. Mary Poppins the hobgoblin?
Yeah.
Mary Poblin?
Mary Poblin.
Well, a spoonful of dirt makes the medicine go down. That like comes in it's an umbrella, but it's like a battle axe umbrella, and he like floats down. He's all, "Hello, children, you clean your room today."
Dude, that'd be a hilarious way to start this episode. As you're walking down and you see this like hobgoblin in a Mary Poppins dress, and she's like, and this kid's like, "I'm feeling my tummy hurts," and it's like, oh, you need to take your medicine. And the kid's like, can I have a spoonful of sugar to make it taste sweeter? And then the hobgoblin's like, I'll give you a spoonful of dirt so it tastes better in comparison. And it just like flips down on his head. Okay, so hobgoblins are definitely smarter. Bugbears, the brutes, the muscle
They're going to
men.
be your construction workers, the ones that are building up the town, creating. They'll be sort of, you probably see them more in like the military aspects.
Town guards and stuff.
Yeah, utilized in that aspect. And so this is like a relatively integrated town. But again, there is this like underlying sense of like, why is it that this is so seamless? And like, why is it so good? And so then it's like, well, the mayor of the town is like, I have this, this crystal or artifact that causes them to be docile. And there's a benefit to this because these hobgoblins and these goblinkin are taking care of like a lot of these tasks in our town, which is freeing up our town to do whatever else they want to do and all this kind of stuff like that. Go ahead.
Backstory to the town. Maybe like 50 years ago, a goblin warband came to attack this town, and they got defeated.
Yeah.
And afterwards, the propaganda of it is, after we shattered this goblin warband, we felt bad for the survivors, so we opened up our doors and let them join We let them join. Sorry, every single device I own is going off right now. We opened up our doors and we let them come in and become part of us, and we took care of them. We nurtured them back to health. And that's the propaganda, is we're so nice that like we've put aside our differences. But in reality, when they shattered this warband and when they were looting their camp, they found this artifact that the hobgoblin war chief was using, and they found a way to manipulate it to control it.
Yes. So we're making a goblin session.
Yeah.
Like a goblin, and you get to play as goblins.
Yep.
We've never done this before where we made
this
it
sounds
to where like
awesome though.
Yeah. And Mary Goblin is Mary Poblin is
Mary Poblin.
She's gonna be like, "Hello, what you want some dirt?" and just shoves dirt right into one of our players' mouths. And
is Mary Poblin the Nilbog? No.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'm like right in between it. Because it makes sense.
How
she flies around on a balloon so whimsically.
Yeah.
Tasha's going to laughter.
Yeah, she's like incredibly whimsical. everything about her is like overly amplified, and so Mary Poblin as this Nilbog, and maybe it's like in Shrek, you remember how they blow up the frog and the snake, and they have balloons or something like that. She's got
oh my gosh,
Mary Poblin's got like a balloon that's just a frog that's been blown up, and it's her pet frog as well. Oh man, but that's why she floats around and all this kind of stuff. But
that's so
yes,
good.
dude. So we have a Mary Poppins version of Goblin propaganda. Oh man, this is interesting.
That could be where your goblins get high. Like maybe your players, their goblins. Goblinoids, I should say, get hired because it takes a goblin to track down a goblin. And Mary Poblins has been flying around, causing trouble, making goblins like unruly and start killing people and stuff like that. So the mayor's like, hey, I need you 3, you 4, you 5 to track down Mary Goblin, whatever.
Mary Poblins, get it
Mary
right.
Poblins, I'm sorry. Mary Poblins.
She's lovely. Yeah.
Yes. And that's kind of like the quest, is you're specifically tracking down Mary Poblins.
Dude, that's so good. And then it provides the opportunity for the players to like either do what they were supposed to do for the mayor, or search a little bit deeper, see what's really going on. Put that tinfoil hat on, man. We ain't gonna be controlled anymore, man.
Crazy Steve's third brother. There's 3 of them now. They're triplets.
Crazy Steve, look, right, he pops up. There they are. The goblins are coming to this town. I'm crazy leave. I'm crazy leave. All I want to do is collect leaves and get these goblins out of my town.
Oh gosh, this is so good. Okay, so this is a great idea. Let's fill it with some encounters. Let's fill it with some things that the player's going to interact with. We've got a great little world we've built, little town we've built. What are the players going to do as they're trying to seek down the infamous Mary Poblins?
That's a good question. Richard.
So there could be maybe there's a sect where there are some goblins who live in the sewers, or some goblins outside of town, or whatever, that are at this point back to their like quote unquote feral state. So you've got to, as your players, interact with these goblins that are feral, but they still communicate. They're just evil now. They went from being from being good to being evil. So you're sent out, and maybe that could just be a simple introductory combat. Get you used to playing your goblin character. You're just killing other goblins. And it's like you go, and there's some goblins who have taken over a lumberyard. Not a mine. I almost said mine. That's going to take too long. Just something like, it could even be like they've taken over, to show the integration to the town, they could have taken over like a dairy shop, or they could have taken over like a general store or something like that. And it's just goblin. Like,
and I think what could be really fun with something like that is instead of it being where your players show up and it has already happened, the reversion to their feral nature comes about during their meeting with the thing. So, say for example, they see like the poster on the front of this dairy shop, and they walk inside. Bell rings on the door. Hello, welcome to Goblin Milk. It's the best milk we've ever seen. It's all chunky and green, and they're like, "You want some milk?" And they're like,
high
"No,
in protein."
Yeah. And they all like start drinking it, and then maybe a poster like flows in from the wind or something like that, and flows in and lands on the countertop or lands on the floor, and then he's like, "What's this right here?" And he picks up the poster, and he sees like what has been said about goblins. It sort of sees like the feral nature, and maybe there's like a rune or an incantation on these pieces of paperwork that are causing the goblins once read to revert back to their feral state. And so he's all, "What does this mean, right? Goblins are..." And his eyes start twitching, and his grin becomes larger. Teeth teeth, for some reason, seem to become sharper. Ears perk up. Back of hair on his neck stands up. He begins to sweat and pant fervently, and then, what is this? And then they just start going, and they just go crazy and start fighting the players and everything like that.
So what is it that makes them change? Is it a poster? I'm trying to think of Mary Poppins things, like Mary Poppins.
It's a spoonful of dirt.
That's what I'm thinking. Is a spoonful of dirt.
How do you get the dirt in their mouth, though?
But does she spoon feed every single goblin like that? Because
I know.
I'd like it to spread a little bit quicker. I think it's just something about her presence. It's just something about her being around.
Well, that's why I was going to do the rune or something like that on the papers that only goblins could read, and when they it was a hidden message within the propaganda. Does that make sense?
I think we might be thinking too hard because we're trying to keep. Correct me if I'm wrong, but are we both trying to keep Mary Poblins away from the players because we don't want her to get killed too quick?
I want her to be hidden for the first encounter at the very least. Because visible.
Here's my thing though. The Nilbog is great at escaping. It can take the disengage or hide action as a bonus action. It has a reaction called Reversal of Fortune. In response to another creature dealing damage to the Nilbog, the Nilbog reduces the damage to 0 and regains 1d6 hit points. It can do that once per round. It just has a reaction. It can you could deal 30 damage to a Nilbog, and it's just nope, I regain 1d6 hit points. Then there's a feature for it called Nilbogism. Any creature that attempts to damage the Nilbog must first succeed on a DC 12 Charisma saving throw or be charmed until the end of the creature's next turn. A creature charmed in this way must use its action praising the Nilbog. The Nilbog can't regain hit points, including through magical healing, except through its Reversal of Fortune action. And also, I'm pretty sure that when a Nilbog dies, its spirit just goes and possesses somebody else. Like another goblin. So you're essentially just dealing with the same personality of Goblin. So Mary Poblins. So it kind of becomes where your players realize, we can't just kill Nary. Well, I guess there is a way where you can take care of it if you use banishment, or if you use a circle of protection around it or something like that. You can isolate it.
But you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that early in a campaign. And since this is a Goblin campaign, you're not going to have players that have banishment early on, right?
No, you're not. But we could create something where if the players want to go down that route and they want to take care of Mary Poblins.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha.
They could.
You're right.
Somebody who could do this.
You're right. They have to have that option.
And it could even just be. Yeah. It could even just be you go back to the mayor and you're like, hey, we found out through talking to other goblins, because there might be some old goblin or hobgoblin who's like, oh, if you want to trap Mary Poblins, you'll need to create a circle of whatever. And the mayor will set that up for you, and you've just got to lure the Nilbog to that spot. And then once you get in there, you trap it. Boom.
Or a spoonful of sugar makes it to where the possessed demon actually can get. Yeah.
Yes. So that way too, you could just have her show up and have a little dance number where all these goblins are just dancing, and there's graffiti coming to life and penguins that are showing up, and it's like a fever dream. All these goblin chimney sweeps start dancing and attacking people all at once.
It's kind of a rooftop chase.
Yes, a rooftop chase combat.
That would be pretty badass, with chimney sweeps popping out of chimneys, making dexterity saving throws as they run by, trying to knock you off the roof.
Yep.
Oh man, that's incredible. The idea that the fact that the Nilbog will then transfer its essence to another creature is exciting to me, because, well, first off, I know how they would get these these goblins to return back to feral states. She is poisoning their food supply with the spoonful of dirt or whatever it may be, or spoonful of maggots. And
I like that.
And she pours it into, say, this dairy shop. She pours it into their goblin milk, and then when they drink it, then they're like,
yeah. You see them start going crazy. I love that. Okay,
It's
so
like
ahead.
it's like in if you've ever played what's it called? The Shadow of not Shadow of Colossus. It's the Lord of the Rings game where you take over orcs. I can't remember the name of it for some reason.
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, Shadow of Mordor. You can poison their water and food supplies and make them sick, or you can make them try to hurt each other and all this kind of stuff. And so it very much has that vibe to it as well.
Mary Poppins is just the protagonist of that game, going around marking these goblins.
Yeah, she's just, bow to me now. Mary Poppins.
You are mine.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, but like, okay, two really cool encounters. If this was like a single session situation, would be a rooftop chase with chimney sweeps and the dairy. Because I do like the idea of what you talked about with the integration of the goblins within the town makes for the dairy thing. It's a lot better.
And that dairy thing too, it could be even that you just like are being sent there where someone's like, okay, hey, before you go, I've bought like rations for you. Like, I'm going to take care of your food. So go ahead, have a good meal. Like the mayor or whoever, the town guard's like, go ahead and before you start, go on down to the Goblin's Knob Tavern and get yourself a nice little plate of food, like before you start your shift or whatever. And then you go there and it's just normal goblins, and you get to see as a player the integration. You see this like bugbear behind the tavern counter who's just like serving up drinks. You see a hobgoblin waitress. You see a goblin, like a little goblin bard band, like playing a piano and just like having a good time. And then all of a sudden, like this person comes in and everything just starts going like you have one of these goblins who's playing the piano and takes a drink of something. And as he takes a drink, like the music just stops and everyone looks over and this goblin's just like, and just like starts like hitting the piano or like taking the keys off or like tries to stab somebody. And you see this crumbling. You see the beauty of the goblin integration, and then you see it just collapse around you, and you're like,
yeah. You just hear. What was I gonna say there? I had another idea.
okay,
Your players are goblins in this scenario.
yes,
Now, again, if you're listening to this and you're like, I don't want to run goblins as players, then just don't run goblins. Yeah, just don't run goblins. But here's a fun
filling
thing
in the
that you
gaps
can do.
where we force you to do what we say.
Yeah.
That's our slogan.
Every single thing. We said when we started the show that no matter what, everything is canon. And if you break from canon, you will be pursued for the highest extent of the law.
Exactly.
We're going to come after you. We're going to sue
Break
you.
the canon, wrath of Cameron. That's what we always say.
Yeah, and there's a significant financial cost to you and your family. We look to ruin people. Don't break our canon.
Yep.
But if you do, that's all good. No, what I was going to say, your players are goblins, right?
Yes.
And they are sort of normalized goblins for some reason. Why are they sort of cultured to this? Why are they? So what about, and madness effects are always touchy for people. Some people don't like using them. But introducing some feral nature to the players themselves. Say one of the players themselves ingest some of that feral
dude, and you make
food.
You make like a goblin feral table.
Yeah, it's like a wild charge table for goblins.
And that just depends on how long you want the session to be, because that could be some really cool thing. Like it could be like from now on, you don't want to eat food that's been prepared. You only want to eat food that is like fresh meat. It's like instead of eating like a cooked steak, now you're like, this rat's fresh meat.
Yeah, it's great role playing opportunities for players.
Yeah, and playing a goblin is fun. Playing a disgusting little squirt or a big brutish stinky guy like is a great just diversion away from, I think, the normal modern D&D, which I've always played it this way, but the more and more I look at it, it's very big everything's big, everything's high stakes, everything's political, every character has like motives, every combat has some kind of twist at the end of it that makes it like do I or don't I. So it's fun sometimes just to play as like, I'm a stinky goblin.
I pick up my poop and try to sell it at stores.
Exactly. Yep. Where it's like you don't have to worry. You can kind of go no holds barred because it doesn't quote unquote matter.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. So let's okay. So we've got the world building. We've got some pretty good NPCs that you can change however you want to. But again, we will come back after you with the full force of the law. We've got an interesting aspect. Yeah, we got a few encounters that aren't, they're not statistically built out, but they're definitely there.
Yeah.
We've even got sort of like a game prep from a player perspective to let your players play goblins, Goblinkin as well. You can play a goblin, you can play a hobgoblin, you can play a bugbear. That's all D&D Beyond. Those are real things that you can actually currently do right now. So all that in mind, why don't you give us a good old-fashioned
summary?
Summary, yeah.
Cool.
And I'll give us a synopsis.
All right, so about 50 or 60 years ago, the town of whatever the name of the town is, successfully defeated a goblin horde as they came through. Hobgoblins, bugbears, goblins. They miraculously killed the entire horde except for a few survivors. And gracefully, your town decided instead of finishing off the survivors, they would welcome them into the city and integrate them. They would help this savage race be civil. Really behind the scenes, you have this mayor who found this ancient artifact and is using it to control all of goblin kind, and is maybe even harvesting some kind of resource out of them, or is just straight manipulating them, whatever. Your players are goblins and are being tasked to find a specific goblin who is causing trouble, who is causing goblins to go feral, who is causing goblins to resort to their old nature and kill everybody. This goblin's name is Mary Poblins, and she is flying around on her magical whatever and feeding people a spoonful of dirt and spoonfuls of maggots, and is just causing a general ruckus to the point where some people want to throw goblins out entirely, or some people want to kill all these goblins. Your players are put down smack in the middle of this to kind of find this person, find out how to defeat her, or to turn the table and set goblins free once and for all. So that's kind of the synopsis. Cam, or that's the summary. Cam, what do you got for a synopsis? I'm jealous because this is going to be super fun.
What do you think? Should I do the chimney chase, or should I do the dairy, or should I do the bar, like the tavern?
I say either the barn or the chimney.
Okay, I think I'm going to go tavern because I have an idea.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Your players step into the tavern after being recently told to grab a good bite to eat. This would be the best place. It's got fresh, high quality foods. You step in to see an active, wonderful scene. Goblin barmaids, running around serving drinks to the local patrons. Humans and tieflings and orcs, and it's a cornucopia of different races from the Forgotten Realms. You see bugbears lifting up cask of ale behind them, replacing them with new filled cask, poking holes in them with a single poke of a finger, and
That's
dropping
sweet.
in the spigot and pouring out drinks. You see hobgoblins taking orders and sort of currying people around, and you see at the stage a beautiful woman hobgoblin begin to sing. At last, my love has come along. The crowd starts to cheer as Etta Jamesblin, the goblin woman, begins singing, and it's the most beautiful goblin singing you've ever heard in your life. And as she finishes her song, someone brings up a drink to her, and she takes a sip out, and she goes back to the front of the stage, and she says,
I'd just like to say thank you so much for everybody coming out tonight.
and she begins to cough. She grabs at her throat, her hands trembling, her eyes darken.
Excuse me.
She starts licking her lips.
Meat sounds good.
Ears perk up. Muscles tense. She looks to her piano player, a goblin,
You look mighty tasty.
and jumps on him, grabs him, rips him limb from limb, starts eating him. The entire bar starts panicking. Everybody says, no, no, no. The bugbear from behind the bar goes, that's not such a bad idea. Takes a cask of ale, throws it across the bar, starts grabbing goblins, biting them, starts grabbing people, eating them as well. And chaos ensues.
That's awesome.
Roll for initiative, and I'm rolling individually for each monster in here.
That is literally awesome. Oh my gosh, what a good intro combat to explain the chaos that's happening.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think that one's a fun little episode.
Dude, selfishly, I want someone to DM this for like the two of us, Cameron and Adam. I want to find somebody to be like, can you run this for us, please?
Ooh, that's a good idea, dude. Hey, what about this? This is just an idea. What do you think about this?
Okay.
Maybe once a month, we have one of our community members DM a game for us. Is that like would y'all be down for that?
That'd be if people want to do it.
Yeah,
that'd be dope. Especially like a little side quest like this, like little independent. Like
So answer us this, guys. If you would like to either play in games or DM in games with us, maybe like a monthly stream or something like that, where we got together, started playing games with y'all in the community, would that be something you're interested in?
Or even like have them join in as side characters and like other stuff we're doing. Like,
yeah. Like for example, during our the fundraiser that we're in right now, Rich has it to where anybody that sort of sees it on the Discord, you can join in on the game and pretty much create instant NPCs for the actual one shot that he's running for us tomorrow. So, it will be yesterday by the time you listen to this, but it is what it is. But yeah, guys, if that's something you want to do, I mean, that would be pretty amazing.
Let us know. We'll talk about it. We'll try to figure it out. But man, that was a good episode. Cameron, where if people want more Goblin Mayhem, if this is their first time listening, where can they find us? Where can they find our Discord? Where can they find our stuff?
You can find us over at Twitter. You can find us over at Reddit at Filling in the Gaps, or at FitGD&D on Twitter. You can find us over on our Discord as well. I'm going to try to create a permanent link within our podcatchers. Pretty much all the different podcasting apps. We're on Podbean. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. You can find us anywhere. If you want to help us out and help us grow, if you listen on iTunes, go leave a 5-star review. Go tell us how great we are,
please.
It'll help us. It'll just help us grow. And I think, look, we're not gonna. I've never thought that we were gonna sit here and have like millions of followers or anything. But it's gonna be great to have more and more DMs grow, because I think the ultimate goal of this all is to grow the DMing side of our tabletop role playing world. That's people love playing, but man, it is so much fun to DM, but it is so scary and daunting on the front side. And so, just getting more people like that, getting more players that finally just decide to take the dive. We want to be able to help push them over the edge. So let us know how you think about what do you think about our shows, because we truly enjoy doing it for you. So, and ourselves even. So,
all right. Well, guys, as always, Filling the Gaps is not an actual play podcast, but we hope that some crazy idea we spit out over the last 45 minutes helped you to feel inspired enough to actually play with your friends this next coming week. As always, we hope you guys have a great next session, and we will see you guys on the next one.